Meantime, we're watching DOGE because they're working around the clock to cut our bloated government. They're trying to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. We got an update from J.D. Vance, and he likes what he sees so far.
What DOGE is going to do, it's going to save money. And I really believe it's already identified a lot of cost savings. The most important thing that it's going to do, I don't even think is the cost savings. It's making the bureaucracy responsive to the elected president. We're talking about making the people's government responsive to the people's elected president.
But not everybody was happy with the cuts, especially not federal bureaucrats. They're scared stiff. Fear and chaos grip federal workers as Trump rapidly remakes the government. Cheryl, he came in, he said he was going to do this. He's doing it. He actually was kind of graceful in the amount of time that he gave those federal workers, where he said, you know, you can take the buyout. We'll pay you for till the end of September. Some people thought that was very generous, but he's doing what he said. He's doing what he promised the American people, what they voted for.
Well, and, you know, the whole return to the office part of that conversation is pretty clear. You know, Senator Joni Ernst was the first to come out and clearly say to all of us, only 6% of the federal workforce is actually in the office. That's number one. Number two, all the real estate. Start to sell that off. There are already moves happening in Washington and Congress to make this happen as far as the real estate picture goes. But, you know, tying this back to energy and the tariffs and the economy and what would make us stronger as a nation, besides fiscal responsibility and not having these massive debt payments that we're paying right now because of the trillions of dollars that we're running in deficits in this nation, the best part of what J.D. Vance is saying is not only are we going to make our country stronger and more energy efficient, you know, an energy emergency, as Donald Trump has called it, but also we're going to run as a leaner, meaner entity. Called a corporation, called Donald Trump the CEO. I don't have a problem with that. But this is where these business practices can be effectively applied, in my opinion, to the bureaucracy that is the federal government.
Yeah, we were talking about the kinds of people he's picked in his cabinet. He's got a lot of advisors, David, who are business people. Somebody like Howard Lutnick has a lot of experience running a company. And that is the perfect way to describe how he's treating all of this, and there are so many moving parts that he's putting together. It's not just about DOGE or just about tariffs or just about oil or just about inflation. They are putting the whole wheel together.
Well, there's so many business people who understand that it's not just the number of workers, it's what they're working on. You have 2.8 million federal workers. That's the federal workforce. How many of them are working on projects that don't make lives better in America, but make them worse? It's like the EV. A lot of these companies were forced to have, a lot of the car companies were forced to have EV divisions. How many of them, now that they're free, are going to get rid of the divisions that were bleeding money? Many of them already were doing, even at the risk of making the federal government mad at them. So the point is how much of what those federal workers are doing, it's not whether they're loyal to the president who's in power at any moment. It's whether they're doing things involved in programs that are bad for America, whether it's the Department of Education, HHS, or wherever. So I really think what part of what DOGE has to do is not just talk about how many workers are going to fire, but how many divisions, how many parts of the government they've got to eliminate. And you've got to get into that. And people say, oh, we can't get rid of things like Department of Education. Too many people, there'll be starving children all over as a result of that. No, there are parts of the Department of Education that make things worse for students in America, and they have to be eliminated.
I think I just saw on the full screen there $1 billion taken for just the DEI aspect. It's crazy.
It is about ripping up illegal regulations that have been laid upon working men and women for the last 40 some odd years, that based on two recent Supreme Court decisions, upending the Chevron doctrine and then West Virginia versus the EPA. These are faceless bureaucrats who have essentially put their boots on the neck of every small business operator in the U.S. And what they did was, in essence, illegal. And those are the words that Elon Musk has used in that piece that was written in the Wall Street Journal with Vivek Ramaswamy. And that will give them the ability to roll back all of these regulations. This will unleash the economy and the American spirit and the animal spirits in terms of our growth in a way I can't even grasp at this point.
It's funny when we talk about what that E should stand for, because you said elimination, David. We kind of joked about it in the last segment. We wanted this to be government efficiency, some government elimination, maybe the DOE up on the chopping block. So a lot of Congress people I know on our show in the past have come on and say, maybe we should make it elimination and just cut some things right off the bat. What I like about DOGE when we think about following the money is the transparency. On that full screen, Jackie, that you mentioned, it was $45 million in DEI scholarships to Burma. We need to help and send foreign aid to Burma for other reasons, for national security, fine. But I'm not doing it through a DEI scholarship. You know what else ticks me off that DOGE tweeted about on the 15th? $1.2 billion in awards to undisclosed recipients. It's not allowed to be undisclosed when it's my taxpayer dollars. You have to tell me what it is. And I'm hoping a lot of DOGE, to talk about efficiency or whatever, is also transparency. Just tell me where the money's going.
Yeah, and speaking of transparency, Elon brought it to Twitter, and he's bringing it here, too. All right.